You see, like this one that would originally have been a starter home about a decade or so ago are now for lease. Signs in front yards showing not a home for sale, but for rent.
Atlanta has more of these types of properties than the next couple of metro areas combined.
These properties are single-family homes owned by corporations, not people. And Atlanta is the #1 location for these houses in the entire country, according to GSU professor Taylor Shelton.
Just a decade or so ago, none of these companies even existed.
But a recent study found that just 3 companies, known to customers as Progress Residential, Invitation Homes, and Main Street Renewal, own more than 19,000 homes in the metro area.
The homes that most of these companies are buying are exactly the kind of starter homes that 15, 20, 30 years ago would have been first-time home buyers.
And in certain areas, these corporations can own most of the homes in a neighborhood. Take this.
Attention, player haters and overrated disbelievers of all kinds. I stand before you today 10 toes down as the bearer of bad news. Y'all done fucked up.
What's happening? L.A.R. movement still moving. This video is going to be about corporate neighborhoods, corporate real estate, corporate subdivisions, and just the real estate market that people have an issue with right now. And I talked about this a while back, where I said, in major cities they were building more apartment complexes than they were in less subdivisions. And I talked about how I was driving and they had a whole subdivision for lease by a certain corporation, right? And people were talking about, BlackRock, Amazon buying homes. Does this Atlanta interview, right? And let me go back a little bit. Then there was a time when people were trying to buy houses a few years ago. The market was hot and people were trying to buy houses, but the houses, especially in hot cities, the houses weren't on the market but a day. Like, you saw it on the website, sold. You get what I'm saying? And people were just random people buying, people that had money buying, corporations buying. It was kind of like, kind of had the same feeling as somebody who scalps tickets. You know how you get on the website to buy your ticket, but it's already, the concert is sold out or the game is already sold out. And you're like, how did they buy all these seats this fast? And somebody bought them and then they selling them for double and triple of value later. That's that. And what happened with that was people stopped buying tickets. That's what happened. So people stopped buying tickets. So less and less people started going to these shows, and it drowned out the price of some of these concerts. But some people are still making money. That's the thing. But I say that to say this. In these situations, it comes off as a hustle. So if you bought 19,000 homes as a business, they starter homes, roughly, let's just say the starter homes probably $300,000, $250,000 to $300,000. But if you buying in bulk like that, and I'm not saying they bought 19,000 immediately, but if they're buying in bulk, those, 300 and $250,000 to $300,000 homes, they're getting them off on a bulk sale discount, so they might be paying anywhere from like $225,000 to $250,000. You get what I'm saying? So that's a whole nother thing, and people don't think about that. And then, are you the bank? Meaning, are you the bank and the lender? Like, how you go to a car lot and they say, you can get this car through our bank. But if you have your own credit union, or your own bank might give you a cheaper rate, right? And then I thought, because let's just say it's like that. That means 30-year mortgage, let's just say 300,000. By the time you pay the house off, it's like $1 million if you was doing it that way. Not to mention, how many loans you can get out of multiple people, because things happen in life. People can't make the payments, foreclosure, so on and so forth. And then on top of that, you buying these homes, um, you doubt they're the best homes, even for their price range. You know what I mean? So they're gonna give you the cheapest homes. The home is $250,000, $300,000, but it might have cost 70 to make. No brick, all siding type of situation. You get what I'm saying? Flimsy materials, that type of thing. Nice veneer, but it's the cheapest you can get it, which is a whole nother issue, right? So even if you buy the house, they've already made their money double, triple times on the sale in itself. Now the interest is just icing on top of the cake. Then I thought about something that doesn't get talked about. Well, maybe they do. I haven't seen it. Where when people think about all the deportation and ICE deporting people and rounding people up, that's also a real estate grab. You know, it's not. It's like eminent domain or redlining. You redlined a group of people to deport. You know, they probably have a place to stay, and you confiscate the place. Whether it's a residential home, or even the property that they may have if they have a commercial business or commercial real estate, gotta go. So you're using ICE to repo the land. You know what I mean? Doing the Dave Chappelle. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? So that's a whole other thing too. And then the thing about like the suburbs and gentrification. You know, if you notice, gentrification kind of died out because, in essence, they created the suburbs. Then they didn't like it. Then they went back to the urban environment, and then they left and went back to the suburbs and went back to the urban environment, and now they went back to the suburbs, and now it costs too much to gentrify. And people who know what I'm talking about, they know, like, for in some cities, that old house, the real estate, the land that it's supposed to be on, makes the house exponentially more expensive. So now, this 60, 70 year old house is worth $700,000, and it's like, well, let me just buy a $700,000 house that's brand new. Why would I buy a 60-year-old house and I don't have the square footage? Now some of these houses are huge, so that's a different story. Like, but the vast majority aren't, because I'm in a prime location. And then part of that prime location thing that made those houses expensive, because where they were at, so many people left and went to the suburbs that it's not worth the same anymore. You know, that's the food desert type of environment that people talk about. So these corporations are trying to take advantage of the fact that, hey, people trying to leave, trying to go to a newer area that's developing, and it's probably going to be nice in the next 10, 15, 20 years. And where you have a problem with this is you have these companies who are purchasing all these homes, and I would make a bet to say that they don't pay their own employees enough to own these homes. And some of them, pay just enough that they can. And some of this is like, we got homes here. You get what I'm saying? So you can work here, and we got the homes here for you to live here, which is another hustle, by the way, because if they fire you, they can boot you out, hire somebody new, move them right in. You get what I'm saying? Which is a whole nother thing. Because if you have the business, like if you have a plant or a big business in a particular place, and you don't see yourself moving anytime soon, then you buy enough land for employees. And then if you get rid of employees, they got to go. Then you hire new employees, which some people don't realize that, as they say, as we say, that AI is replacing jobs. Well, that's going on while at the same time, workers get older and younger workers come in the mix. So the workers that are older get paid significantly more. So we can fire them and get somebody newer in here who's younger, who can make half of what they make or 2/3 what they make. And, we make out, in a black. And this is part of the whole corporate thing too. So, but at the end of the day, I don't know what they're gonna be able to do with this because, you know, the taxes and maintenance on 19,000 homes, you got to get people in homes. Just imagine if you got homeowners in 10,000 of those homes, and the other 9,000, you're paying the taxes, the HOA, lawn care, labor. You got to keep the electricity on. So, especially if it's in a warmer climate, you got to keep the electricity on so the air conditioning can run. Because if you don't, let's just say in the summertime, you're gonna create mold in the house, and then you lost your investment. And not to mention just regular damage from life wear and tear. You know, and the other question is, could this be could the backup plan be insurance? Because depending on what states you have these houses in, like Atlanta, it's not known for really getting hit with a lot. But a hurricane could go there, but it's diminished in a sense. So if they had a natural disaster, you gonna get an insurance claim on 19,000 homes. That'll put an insurance company out of business. But hey, that's just my thought. But you tell me what you think. I'm gonna leave it at that. Like, share, subscribe. Catch you on the next one. Peace.